This is a HeadGum podcast.
Folks, it's time to get Quip. Me and Joe do it. It makes toothbrushing easy. Brushing your teeth, just like making love. The kind of thing you don't really know if you're doing it right till you start doing it right. And folks, Quip is brushing done right. It's the new electric toothbrush that packs just the right amount of vibrations into a slimmer design at a fraction of the cost of bulkier traditional electric brushes. It has guiding pulses that alert you when to switch sides, making brushing just the right amount of effortless. It's true, you really don't have to think about it. It lets you know when to move on to another quadrant of your mouth. Quip also comes with a mount that suctions right to your mirror and unsticks to use as a cover for hygienic travel anywhere, whether it's going in your gym bag or your carry-on. And because the thing that cleans your mouth should also be clean, Quip's subscription plan, or subquiption plan, surprised they didn't think of that, I'll have to let them know, refreshes your brush on a dentist-recommended schedule. They deliver new brush heads every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. Quip's backed by a network of over 10,000 dental professionals, including dentists, hygienists, and dental students. Most toothbrushes don't get named one of Time Magazine's best inventions of the year, but Quip did. It's time to find out for yourself why. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/CU right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/CU. GETQUIP.com/CU. Folks, it's going to be love at first brush. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We'll See You in Hell, now on the HeadGum Podcast Network. My name is Patrick Walsh, and this week we will be discussing Stephen King's It, the 1990, I believe, CBS miniseries. We'll also be discussing the trailer for the new version of It that is coming to a theater near you soon, this summer, I believe. I guess... without further ado, let's get on with the show. And while we're at it, I mean, it's a crazy thought, but perhaps we could also get on with the Joe.
It gets more and more enthusiastic every week. It goes up. I say the kid's hit his ceiling.
Yeah.
And then the next week you come in, you say, I got more to give, and it's amazing.
My goal is on the series finale, when you and I are not speaking and recording it in separate soundproof booths.
In different states.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That I get so high with it that I shatter a glass. Maybe even the soundproof booth that I'm in shatters around me like Emilio Estevez in The Breakfast Club.
Here's what this is the scene I'd like to set.
All right.
I'm with you through most of that scenario. All the way up to the separate states, separate booths thing. Mm-hmm. We're not speaking. You are sitting there going, I just can't wait to be done with this.
Yeah.
You get to the on with the Joe, and you go, and now on with the, you stop, you try it 3 times, you can't get it out, you go, I can't say it. I can't do this. I love you too much.
Oh.
We have to keep going. And then that's the show keeps going after that.
We keep going until... like sometime around like 2055, I go, and now on with the show, and on with the, and my heart stops and I die. And within about 5 minutes, not like with old couples where it happens a couple weeks later, within about 5 minutes, you too are dead. And it just records our last gasps. And that's our final podcast.
Well, it records forever. Nobody's there to hit stop.
That's true. And then
goes.
In a shocking twist, our obituary says, the creators of We'll See You in Hell wind up in heaven. That's what our obituary says.
We hope.
And
Wink, wink.
the picture is of you and I sprawled across your floor, which is covered with your dog's unattended shit.
Yeah,
And our
Khan is still alive in 2055.
yeah, and our fingertips are touching. Like we reached for each other at the last minute.
Okay.
Both microphones on the floor, blasting feedback. A large bottle of tequila just spilling and spilling. For some reason, naked, so like everyone thinks that we've been fucking. But actually, your dog just tugged our slacks down, trying to wake us up.
I like that. I like that. We've got a lot to discuss. We've got a lot to catch up on. Lots happened in the last week. I just want to squeeze a quick joke in that I think you'd appreciate.
Please.
As you know, I co-host a monthly live show called Can I Kick It here in L.A. with Al Jackson and Tone Bell.
I do.
And we watch blocks of hip-hop and R&B videos and do like a sort of Beavis and Butthead style thing with them. But it's a celebration of hip-hop culture. But last night's theme was the month of April, so we did April Showers.
Yeah.
Was one of the blocks, and it was all songs about rain. So we did Candy Rain. We did The Rain by Missy Elliott.
I was hoping, that was my first choice.
The last one, you got to do it. We did Blame It on the Rain.
Sure.
And I said, I hope the guy that killed himself, if I were him, my suicide note would have said, if any of you are wondering why I did this, and I took a long pause, and I went, Blame It on the Rain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big laugh, Pat. I felt like it was your kind of bit.
It was. I'm sure his family would appreciate that joke as well.
Well, I felt bad for inviting them down last night. And
that was a bit much.
Then making that joke. Things are going well with your pilot. I don't know how much you can talk about or not talk about, so say whatever you feel comfortable saying about.
Well, let's hold off till it's shot, which will be on April 12th. And I guess I could say that. I can't promise everybody, but if you want to reach out on the Facebook page or Twitter and you're in Los Angeles, I can probably get you into the pilot. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many spots we're going to have, but it's going really well. And I think in terms of specifics, let's discuss it after that date on the 12th. But had the first table read yesterday. It was great. Things are moving great. I'm a lot more, I'm still not completely out of the woods. It's a miserable experience. I don't recommend it. But the rewards could be great. So it's getting into a nice, fun groove.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
There are many surprises that await in terms of what's going on with the pilot. I'll say that, but I don't want to discuss it till I know for sure that I can.
That sounds exciting. All right, very nice. This is my new thing. I bought a Galaga arcade machine.
Now, see, I misunderstood. I thought you had bought the Gallagher machine where you smash watermelons like Donkey Kong.
It is that game.
Oh, okay, good.
They just didn't have any more Gallagher casings to put it in.
And then have you played Gallagher 2?
Yeah, it's better than the first one.
Do you know the story of Gallagher 2?
I know it well.
I mean, just very briefly, Gallagher, the comedian whose whole bit was shattering watermelons. Now he's a little more known for being very racist. But he had a brother who looked like him, and he thought, hey, I can double my money if
No, the brother went to him and said,
okay, yeah.
Can I do your show as Gallagher too? Because the brother needed cash, I guess.
Right.
Gallagher's only stipulation was, as long as you let him know it's not me.
Right. So when you're touring, you can play St. Louis or you can play like Columbia. Like St. Louis is the big market. Columbia is like a smaller college town in Missouri. For example, every state's got big cities, small cities. I don't think I'm telling you any news there. Gallagher 2 was like, I'll play the smaller cities. I'll put on the poster Gallagher in big letters, 2 in small letters. Nobody will know the fucking difference. We're both just guys hitting watermelons. So eventually, maybe you know more specifics from there? Because all I know is when it became Spanish. That
part I don't know. All I knew, the only thing I know is
take me up till there.
The only thing I know is Gallagher's only rule was you can't make people think it's me. And immediately the brother broke that rule.
Yeah.
So then he got pissed and he sued his own brother.
Right.
And then after that, I don't know what happens.
Well, the Spanish-speaking part was something I just learned about, and that is that Gallagher started playing Spanish markets to like make even more money. Like he just was like, I got to really get as much money out of this as I can, wisely, because the market for watermelon shattering is a pretty limited one.
Yeah.
He learned how to do his act in Spanish, but he learned it phonetically. He didn't learn Spanish. He just was like, here's what I say in my act. I'll have somebody translate it for me and record it and just do it phonetically.
Gallagher 1 or 2 did this.
1, I believe.
Which is strange because all of his most racist jokes are about Spanish-speaking cultures.
That's correct. That's correct. I learned about all this on I'll plug it. It's not an ad. We are starting to do ads. We'll always tell you what is an ad and what isn't. But I learned about it on the Gilbert Gottfried podcast. And I'm not a big podcast guy, but I heard that there was a great one with the writers of many films. Ed Wood. They also wrote Problem Child with Gilbert Gottfried. It's Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski. And they bring on kind of fringe guys, writers. They had on Tom Sharpling, which I love. But Gilbert Gottfried, we all know he's funny. But, like, my Christ, is he funny on this show.
He's a hilarious human being, but particularly in conversation.
Oh, yeah. So that's why this podcast is such a... I didn't even know it existed. But they talked for like 20 minutes about the making of Problem Child. And, I mean, I was dying. And they went into the guys that did Ed Wood, they love movies about fringe people. They did The People versus Ed Wood. They did the one about the Big Eyes.
The People versus Ed Wood.
I'm sorry, The People versus Larry Flint.
Oh, okay.
They did the one Big Eyes about the lady and her husband who made the paintings with the big eyes that Tim Burton did. They did Mars Attacks. They do lots of great stuff. But they wanted to do one about Gallagher and Gallagher 2, and they were like, "You've gone too far. You've gone too niche. Nobody wants to see this movie." I want to see the movie.
I would see that in a heartbeat.
But they were talking about their research on it and all these things they found out, and it was just fascinating. But
I ended one of my half-hour specials. I have 2 Gallagher stories. The first one is I ended one of my half-hour specials with a joke about Gallagher. After it aired, I got a message the next day on Facebook. Long, hateful letter from somebody. I was with you till the end.
Wow.
Who the fuck do you think you are to take a shot at a legend like that? You're nobody.
And it wasn't Gallagher, right?
Well, I wrote back, is this Gallagher? And then then the guy responded like, touche, you got me. That was funny. He actually kind of
okay, all right.
Which was fine.
Yeah.
But then this is my favorite Gallagher-related story. I used to tour with Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
And we were doing a show. I can't remember where we were, but it was a theater somewhere. And the guy who was like driving us from the hotel to the venue was telling us, Patton was like, so who else has been through here recently? And the guy's like, well, we just had Gallagher. And Patton's like, what was that like? And because it was before all the Mark Maron interview shit came out, where Maron was kind of like, you're kind of racist now and stuff. So nobody knew where he was.
Right.
And the guy goes, he came out, he started talking about astrophysics, and then demeaning the audience for being stupid because they didn't understand what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he goes, the craziest part of the whole thing was, he asked me in his rider, it said he needed a table, 4 foot by 3 foot or whatever.
Uh-huh.
He's like, so I went out, I'm thinking he needs something to put his water on or whatever. I go buy this beautiful antique table, I bring it in. Gallagher takes one look at it, he's like, I can't use this. This is for the smashing the watermelons. He's like, I can't, this thing's going to break. I need like a sturdy table.
Right.
And the guy's like, so it's crazy. I'm running around an hour till showtime. I got to build a damn table out of 2x4s so Gallagher can smash watermelons. And there's the longest pause in the history of man, like the longest awkward silence I've ever been a part of. And then finally, Patton just goes, Gallagher needed a table in his contract.
Yeah.
And you didn't know it was for smashing watermelons.
Yeah, that checks out. I gotta wonder. Surely Gallagher now he goes out to play the club and he hits the watermelon and the crowd is just kind of like silent, right?
Well, he's retired now.
They can't still be cheering this. Are people that?
It's
stupid?
all they want. It's the only part they want. Do you ever see the video where he has the heart attack while he's doing it?
He had an actual heart attack?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. There's like an iPhone video of him picking the hammer up and then like collapsing from a heart attack.
Well, fuck, I'll fund this Ed Wood guy's movie. I want to see this movie. I mean, everything I've heard sounds like this makes an amazing film, and I want to see it.
It's a wild ride.
Who would play Gallagher in the film version? I bet it would. You know what? I bet it would be Johnny Depp again. That seems like something he would do.
Look, these guys do a lot of Tim Burton work.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp does a lot of Tim Burton work. I'd like to see a dark version with like a Christopher Waltz.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Morgan Freeman. Just a real strange take on it.
Sure.
Maybe what's his face? The Last King of Scotland guy. He'd be a fun.
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker would be a fun.
How much is Gallagher a millionaire?
I think he's broke now.
Oh, good. Okay.
I was at the Improv one night and he was there, the Melrose one in Hollywood, and he
Suspenders?
I can't remember.
All right.
But he looked like he just didn't want to fucking talk to anybody. And
Yeah.
it was kind of a bummer. I was like, deep in my heart, this was recently. Or not recently, but like right before he retired, like a year ago. Deep in my heart, I was hoping like I was going to meet him and it was all going to be like, oh, he's actually a good guy and this has all been a big misunderstanding. And
Yeah.
I didn't meet him, and from what I could see, he seemed kind of like a dick. So, it just was kind of a bummer, man. Anyway,
All right.
listen, do you have any movies for the roundup?
You know, I've been busy again, and I've seen absolutely nothing. I haven't seen a single piece of entertainment. I like this Gilbert Gottfried podcast. That's all I really got.
I have two things that I saw.
All right.
I don't have my damn phone in front of me here. Hold on, I got to get my phone because I keep a list. Can you hold down the fort for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. How are you guys? It's funny. I always think when Joe walks away about that classic scene in Wayne's World when Mike Wayne leaves Garth to like carry it for a minute and he goes into a complete spiral. I'm not feeling that now, but that scene is so funny to me, as is everything in Wayne's World, and Wayne's World 2. What do I got, folks? My cat puked in my bed. That was a first. Hopefully that comes out of the sheets. I know you're concerned.
It's going to all come out in the wash, as they say, Walsh.
Yeah. But it was a, to tie it into horror, it was an Exorcist-style amount, color, and consistency of puke.
That's disgusting.
I know, and I don't really know what happened. I look at him, and I'm like, a couple times a day we put out a few little pieces of kibble. What's happening?
Well, maybe it just ate some grass outside or something. And
It is never in contact with grass. That's never happened.
maybe it ate a leaf off a plant in the house or something. They
All
do
right.
that,
All right.
Con here will get a little too grass hungry outside, and sometimes he pukes it up.
Okay.
They like grass for some reason.
All right.
Okay, the movies I've seen. Two. Three, actually. I saw the movie Microwave Massacre, which is an exploitation movie from the 80s, starring the comedian that voiced Frosty the Snowman.
In the original?
In the cartoon, yeah. That
Okay.
same guy.
I thought that was Burl Ives.
No, Burl Ives is the ice climber
okay.
guy.
No, Burl Ives is the snowman who's like, silver and gold,
Yes.
silver and gold.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But you
And
mean
it's-
the animated, like the boring animated Frosty, not the claymation.
Well, the Burl Ives snowman is not Frosty. He's just a snowman.
He's just a snowman.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Anyway,
I bet
Microwave
he was
Massacre.
Frosty.
Huh?
I bet he was Frosty. You got to stay cold or he's going to melt.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I got you.
Do you know Wendy's now does a vanilla Frosty?
I don't care for the chocolate Frosty. Tastes diet to me. Has always tasted diet to me.
There's an odd element. It's probably just as fattening, but does taste like a Weight Watchers bar or
it's
something.
never tasted right to me, ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, Microwave Massacre, exploitation, sort of dark comedy horror thing about a guy that can't stand his wife, so he cuts her up and he microwaves her, and then he eats her, and he likes the taste of it, and then he begins...
She blows up in the microwave, or he just cooks it?
just cooks her.
Okay.
And then he begins fucking women that are way out of his league and way hotter than he is, and then realizes the only way he can be satisfied with sex is if he kills and eats the woman afterwards. Which this sounds much more gruesome than it is. I mean, the body parts in the movie literally look like they stopped at Halloween Adventure on the way to the set and bought like a rubber leg.
It's kind of probably. It sounds like Frankenhooker.
It's very much in the vein of that. Okay. So look, if you like that sort of thing, sure. Where
did you come in contact with it?
Well, 2 great apps that I'm going to save for Joe's scary stuff.
Oh. 2
I
think you told me. All
amazing apps that. But let me get to those in a minute. What else did I see? I saw Wake in Fright, an Australian film from 1970, I believe.
That's a wild ride. That movie.
Yeah, I was
banned, I believe, for years.
I was talking to somebody about it the other night after a show. Somebody that was a big horror fan. Actually, it was one Mr. Simon Rich, who I did a show with, the creator of Man Seeking Woman.
All right.
I was speaking to him and his wife, very nice people after the show. They're big horror fans.
Yeah.
And I said to his wife, I just saw Wake in Fright, and she said, is it a horror movie? And I said, well, it kind of is, but it's not by definition.
Yeah.
But there are certainly some terrifying shots of, like, Donald Pleasance with the quarters in his eyes. And,
right.
You know.
And you're watching animals mutilated. I think that's why it was banned, is that there's animal mutilation.
Yeah, and that big statement comes on at the end that it's like they didn't mutilate the animals. They were doing it. They were using actual footage shot by kangaroo hunters so they could show that this was bad, that this was happening or whatever. Right. But
did you see the sequel Wake and Bake?
No. How was that? What animals?
I mean, that's my
were
favorite.
Mutilated. A lot of cows because they were eating cheeseburgers.
Yep.
From the Munchies.
Yeah. No, I think I saw it. It was on Netflix Instant. I like Ebert had written about it as like, you know, people are paralyzed with fear at this thing. It's always when you see that about a movie from like 1971, you realize that things are a little different. I mean, I don't love watching a kangaroo murder, but you know, it's also not going to keep me up night, really.
Well, yeah, and it's not just like that spoiler alert, it's not just that like the kangaroos get shot. It's like there's a couple scenes where like, well, the main character's like he has to kill the kangaroo with his hands.
Yeah. And
he has to get like close to it and stab it several times.
Right.
So it's disturbing. It's a disturbing film. I also think it's sort of implied that he fucks Donald Pleasance when they're drunk.
I got that. I think more than implied. Yeah, that was a very interesting subplot.
Yeah, but they don't show it. They just kind of almost show. It's an interesting film.
Yeah.
Finally, I revisited, as I've been meaning to for many years now, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I don't know, man. It's fun, I guess, to watch. It's well done for what it is. The clowns actually look scary, and that bums me out that it's so comical, because the clowns actually are frightening looking, and the movie itself obviously is not scary. I mean, they're blowing people up with like popcorn guns and stuff.
I'll tell you, it really destroyed me when I was a kid. I every once in a while I would be like, maybe I'm not so much a pussy that I can watch a horror movie, and then I would watch one and be like, nope, I am a pussy.
And that one scared you as a kid?
Horrified me. Clowns were a big issue for me, and what a perfect transition into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I know. Well, wait, I still got to do this scary stuff. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
I thought we usually come back to scary stuff.
No, we usually do it here. I just always forget to do it.
Go for it.
Listen, real quick, some scary stuff to check out that you'll enjoy quite a bit. Were you a fan of Friday the 13th, the series? If you were, did I do this one already? I don't think I did.
Yeah, you did.
Shit. Did I?
Lay off the pipe, Joe.
All right. Well, if I did it already, I'm sorry.
You did.
Oh, I definitely did?
100%.
You sure we didn't talk about it after where I said...
No, in the last episode you talked about it at length.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I was like, a Friday the 13th show with no Jason? Blah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, forget it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, 2 apps you should go out and check out. Shout Factory now has an app.
That I'm excited to check out.
And it is totally free.
They probably got SCTV and all that, Mystery Science.
I haven't delved deep in. So far, I've just perused it for the cult movies, which is where I saw Microwave Massacre, as you asked.
Right.
But it is totally free. There's no subscription, nothing. An app similar that is not free, but is just as well worth your time and money. The Night Flight app. Which is now on Apple TV. Night Flight was an old TV show they used to show on like Friday nights, and it was a variety of things. It was crazy movies and interviews with musicians or musical performances and interviews with directors and whatever. They have sort of curated all of the content of Night Flight and then separated into different categories on the app. I think it's only $2.99 a month. Very well worth it. But they've got a horror movie section. They've got a kung fu movie section. They've got a cult movie section. They've got a sci-fi section. They've got interviews with directors as a section. They've got musical documentary sections. They have a live concert. It's a fantastic fucking app.
All right.
And Shout Factory and Night Flight, I believe it's called Night Flight Plus. These are two apps that I would say, and I've never said this before, must-haves.
Oh.
For the horror, fantasy, sci-fi fans out there in our audience. These are ones to not skip. And with that, Pat.
With that.
I'll quit clowning around.
Uh-oh. You brought it back. Because I was going to say, in the history of transitions, we have really never so seamlessly had one as Killer Clowns into It. And you blew it, but then you brought it back with the clowning around. Folks, yeah, going back, like I would see Poltergeist because it was PG, but usually I couldn't see horror movies because they were rated R. But when I would see one at a friend's slumber party or whatever it was, they really just chilled me to the bone, and I wouldn't sleep, and I would be scared to take a shower, and I would be scared of, walking down the hall at night, and it was always really bad for me. And I think where that all began would have to be It. I would have been about 9 years old, which sounds right. Mm-hmm. It was on CBS, and for I guess just because it was on CBS, I was allowed to watch it, but I definitely shouldn't have been, and I watched it again very recently. It's a really terrifying and fairly graphic movie. I've always loved the book. I would put it, honestly, probably in my top 10 books of all time, Stephen King's It.
Yeah, it's a great book, and, a lot of us haven't had time to read the book. The book is 1,200 pages.
It is. I read it as a kid, and I was getting ready to read it before I brushed up on the new one, but I haven't yet. Let's before we dive into the actual film, let's talk about that 3-minute trailer that hit the net this week.
See, I think, can I challenge that? I think we should talk about the old version.
All right.
And then address whether or not what we've seen of this new version is
all right, fair
correcting
enough.
Any of the grievances with the original. Now, you like the original. You still like it. I still love it.
I love it, and I watched it again, and, everybody's grievance with it is the ending. And I don't remember, because I read the book when I was probably 12, 13. I don't remember if the book ends this way. I think it does. But essentially, after all this beautifully building tension and suspense, it basically becomes a giant spider.
Yeah,
and
I'm not a fan of that.
It's kind of dumb, and yet when I watched it, I was kind of like, all right. I mean, it was still an effective ending to the movie. It felt like, you can't really overestimate how much Stranger Things rips off everything, but it really rips off It.
Yeah.
In a really big way.
Right.
And I guess, in the same way that the finale of Stranger Things is kind of like, all right, whatever. That's how I felt about the ending of It. But I didn't think it derailed the rest of it.
It's Stephen. I love Stephen King. I'm a huge fan.
Of course.
But I think his one flaw is that he explains too much sometimes.
Yes.
And that to me is a problem in the story of It, whether it's the book or the movie or whatever, is that it bringing it to this sort of literal explanation at the end of what this thing actually is or whatever.
Yeah.
So that always kind of bummed me. And Stephen King always does. I remember my friend Dan once said, like, Stephen King pulls that move a lot where at the end it's just like, oh, it's just a big spider.
Right.
Or whatever. Or it was from another dimension that opened up. Or you know what I mean? Like, I don't always need to know that stuff.
Yeah, that's also because of how effective everything is with the clown. It's just like truly unsatisfying. Like, it's so much better if it's honestly, it's better if it's like the ghost of some fucked up clown from the 50s or something,
Yes.
But what the best aspect of the miniseries, and also I'm kind of upset they don't do miniseries anymore. I think they would be really successful. the first job I had out here in LA was in CBS miniseries. And I started the job, and the guy was like, just so you know, this department is going to be completely eliminated in about 2 weeks. I was like, no way. And it wound up being about 4 weeks. But in the meantime, I wrote like entire scripts at this job because he was like, they're not doing miniseries anymore. It's not happening.
It's just a rotten business.
Yeah, no, it is. So I miss them, and especially when they were good, because I mean, you know, you look at Roots and all that. I mean, there's amazing miniseries that used to take place, and they just don't.
Thornbirds, Pat.
The Thornbirds, yes, of course. Yeah. But for me, the selling point of it is the direction, which is, I mean, they bring it up. This would be a hard PG-13, bordering on an R, I would say. And the performances. The performances not just from Tim Curry, which will always be the it by which all others are judged, but these kids are fucking great.
All the kids are great. I don't know everybody's names, but
Jonathan
you got
Brandis, of course.
You got Jonathan Brandis, who is great. You got Seth Green in there.
R.I.P. DSV. Remember Sequest DSV?
Mm-hmm. You got Seth Green in there.
That's correct. Yep.
You got the husky blonde-haired kid who I've seen in a million things, and I don't know his name.
Love that kid. Don't know his name either.
Yeah. So you got a nice cast of people in there. I can't remember any of the kids' names except for Seth Green and Jonathan Brandis. But they're all great. And then they're played by equally great adult counterparts. You got John Ritter in a dark role, which is interesting. You've got Harry Anderson in a dark role, which is great. You've got I'm blanking on her name, the lady that's married to Michael McKean.
Ann Magnuson. Nope.
No.
Yep.
And
I'm looking it up. Annette O'Toole.
Annette O'Toole.
Yep.
She's wonderful.
She is.
You've got, and then I don't know the name.
Richard Thomas from the Waltons.
Yes.
You got Richard Masser, the president of the Screen Actors Guild. It's just a lot of great actors, and in what, you know, like, because of course you want to cast the best actor for the part, but it is one of the few movies to do the thing where you have the kid and then they're adults, where you completely buy all of them.
Yes.
Like, you know, for example, there's a pilot being shot for CBS where Bobby Moynihan is going to become John Larroquette. That I don't buy.
What do you mean?
Bobby Moynihan plays the character at 40. John Larroquette plays him at 65. What are you talking about? That's ludicrous. So there's
well, what are they going to do? Get a big fat John Larroquette? No, I'm kidding.
I don't know, but it's just kind of it's rare that it works because it's almost impossible to find a great child actor, but especially one that looks exactly like the adult actor you're going to cast.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Pat. I haven't seen that much of a negligence between the older and younger versions since that Sweet Love and Mercy film.
Oh, Love and Mercy, yeah.
Where Cusack couldn't have even been bothered to dye his hair.
I know.
Let alone gain weight. The fattest years of the guy's life.
Yeah.
And he just a trim fit John Cusack.
Now, I love John Cusack, but Dano, like, and I'm on the fence about Dano, but he completely channels Brian Wilson to the extent where you're like, am I watching documentary footage?
Yeah, he's great.
And then it cuts to the modern day of Cusack, and he's like, hey, what's up? I'm Brian Wilson. Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? And yet I like the movie. I just kind of
I like Cusack in it, but it's not. There's a big difference between the Dano.
Yeah. One of my favorite things I ever heard in a sitcom writing room, and it's something I use all the time, and not just in writing but also in watching movies, is that somebody will. I don't. Oh my God. I had a stutter when I was a kid, and sometimes it comes back.
It's like the movie It.
It's like the movie It.
This is what happens.
That's exactly right. Maybe It just made that happen. But I don't remember who did it. I'd like to give him credit, but I don't remember. But he basically referred to something called the House of Buys. So you'd pitch something, and it was like, what if these two characters bump into each other at the mall? And then he's like, let me call the House of Buys. And he calls him like, you buy it? And he'd be like, they said yes, they buy it. But then it's like, what do you say then the next day they bump into each other at the same mall? And he would call the house of buys and be like, no, we're not buying that one.
Right.
So when I watch a movie, you know, like, I think of that all the time because I'm like, that's a stretch, but there are crazy coincidences in life, so I'll buy it. But you don't buy more than one. You don't buy certainly 3, 4.
Sure.
And some movies just go, like those Inarritu movies, 21 Grams, wherever they thrive on those massive coincidences that are often a little far-fetched.
Not a fan of that guy's movies.
I love Babel and I love Amores Perros.
But didn't he also do Birdman and The Revenant?
Yes, that's correct.
Didn't really like Birdman. Thought the performances were great, but didn't enjoy the film.
I dug them both.
And The Revenant, I thought, was just Precious in the Woods. It was just so long and
I dug it.
bad thing after bad thing. I was not enjoying it.
All right.
Anyway, back to it. Look, we have to talk in some detail about the greatest performance in the movie. It's Tim Curry as Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
And for me, I mean, Tim Curry, you look at Clue, you look at Rocky Horror, you look at, to a very lesser extent, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Tim Curry's had a lot of very memorable performances. You look at him, I still remember him in the trailer for Congo with an inexplicable accent saying, the myth of the killer ape is true. Like rolling his R's, but it's also like French. The man is great, but whoever thought to cast him as it is a fucking genius. And
he's amazing.
Every time he shows up, you completely forget that it's Tim Curry.
I still do. Every time I watch it, I don't see Tim Curry.
You just buy it as like a horrifying demon clown.
And
like
he plays
it seems like not even a performance. It seems like you're watching an actual demon clown.
He plays it with such nuance.
Yeah.
It's friendly and he's playful and happy, and then it cuts to those crazy shots of him with like the fangs and the yellow eyes.
Yeah. And he's kind of funny too. And then you'll be like, why was I just laughing at this guy? That's not cool.
Right. It's a tour de force performance. It's why the first the original DVD I had of the movie, I have since bought the Blu-ray, but the original one, it was cut into halves, so you had to flip the DVD.
Right. And on VHS at Blockbuster.
Yeah, so the first half of the DVD was my favorite because that was the kids and a lot of the Pennywise stuff. I love the scene.
I'm looking now to see if he got an Emmy nomination, and the answer seems to be no.
The scene where he comes up out of the and this is the other cool thing, the effects they use in the original, because this is basically pre-CGI, or at least before it was readily available. So they do a lot of claymation effects and stop-motion things. So that scene where he comes up in the bathroom showers and he has to, he puts his hands up in the drain and, shoves the tiling, aside so he can come up. It's like this weird claymation, what's his face? Harry what's that guy's name?
Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, it just makes it a lot creepier for some reason. I love the film. There are many people that say it doesn't hold up, and those are the people I think that are probably most excited about this new version coming out sometime this year. I know I was excited about the new version coming out because I always want more of a thing I love. And I love the original It. But I also... by the way, there's a great audio book of it that Steven Weber reads.
That's what I'm listening to now. I'm listening to it right now. Yeah.
I listen to it when I go to bed at night. And it's fun to go to sleep to, but then when you wake up to it in the middle of the night, it's creepy.
I love Steven Weber.
But anyway, I think a lot of people are excited for this It remake for different reasons, and at long last, they released the trailer. Now, I got to say this, right off the bat, before I even saw the trailer, my skepticism was running pretty hard and high because God bless Bill Skarsgård. He's a great actor. He's too damn young to play.
What is he from?
Pennywise. He's just on different TV shows and stuff. But he's Stellan I think it's Skarsgård. He's his kid.
Yeah.
And Stellan, I was talking to my buddy the other day, and he goes, Stellan Skarsgård should have played Pennywise.
Yep.
get somebody like that, like with some character in their face and some age.
Well, we were talking. I mean, and we talked about it at work a bunch the other day. Like, Buscemi seems perfect.
Right.
Maybe too on the nose. Michael Shannon to me seems very interesting.
Right.
Sam Rockwell, I think, could have done it, but
I love Sam Rockwell. I think he's too Sam Rockwell. Though.
Maybe so. But when they talked about
what about a Giamatti?
Now, Giamatti, that's right in that Curry wheelhouse. That would have been fucking him. That's a great call, Jim. But I just don't. I'm looking up Skarsgård now. I gotta say, I don't like it being a kid. It wasn't a kid in the book, so I don't know why they went there.
He's like 25.
Yeah, you asked me, what I would think about Tim Curry playing it now. Like, if he didn't have the stroke, would they have asked Tim Curry to play it now?
Right.
They wouldn't have, because everything has to be new in movies. Everything has to be different. It 2.0 or whatever. But I thought the trailer was cool, and we'll talk about it. But for me, when I heard that It was going to be two 2-hour movies from the director of True Detective, Fukunaga, I was like, this is going to be one of the highlights of my year.
Yes.
I could not fucking wait. Somebody sent me the script, and I was like, I don't want to read it. It's written by Fukunaga and some other guy. I was like, I just want to go in cold. I'm excited. And then what I heard is that Fukunaga wanted to do a very hard R version, including the very uncomfortable pedophilia sequence from the book.
What is that sequence? Because I've not gotten to that part yet. Is it the little girl's dad abuses her, I assume?
I mean, I'm going through the audiobook now myself, and it's extremely long. I seem to remember like a lot of kids having an orgy almost.
Oh, well, she
fucks them all.
She sleeps. She has sex with. I think it's sex. She has sex with each one of the boys because they discover they have to have a bond,
right,
as a group, and
right.
They figure out that that's the way to have the bond. So she has sex with each one of them individually.
Yeah,
and then also the bullies, I think, blow each other, which is a great fucking detail.
Yes.
That these kids are latent homosexuals and don't know how to deal with it because they're in this like one-horse closed-minded town, and now they act like assholes because of it.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Stephen King, and it was during his very coked out period as well, as many of his books are. But my favorite thing about Stephen King is not one of many is his portrayal of bullies, because bullies in movies they're like push you down and take your lunch or whatever. A Stephen King bully will put a knife in, like not hold it to your throat, like puncture your stomach with a knife.
Right.
But that to me is from my experience what bullies are like.
They always have a switchblade. Yeah.
No limits. Like truly terrifying, and they don't care. They truly don't care because it's usually because they're parents. But like they'd be fine dying. My biggest bully, when I was younger, held me down on my first day of first grade, sat on my chest and fed me worms, and then forced me to swallow these worms.
Right.
Among many other things. I had a bully my first day of kindergarten. I was wearing short shorts. He punctured my upper thigh with a knife. He threw me in the bus next to him.
Yeah.
Pushed me against the window of the bus, and the entire ride to school twisted a piece of broken mirror, into my upper thigh until he drew blood. And I never told anyone about it.
Yeah, I had a bully when I was in 7th grade. He was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Greg Murdoch. I mean, if that's not a great bully name.
Sure.
But yeah, he used to threaten to smash my face in with a metal folding chair.
Yeah.
To the point where he would swing it and bring it an inch from my face and tell me almost lustfully how bad he wanted to do it.
Yeah, like that element of like true horror is never in portrayals of bullies in books, movies, except with Stephen King, who was clearly bullied, obviously. But
or was a bully.
Yeah, maybe
jury's
so.
out.
But It does it, Stand By Me does it, etc. But that is a great detail that I even forgot that the bullies blow each other in the book. But I try to have high hopes, but when I heard that they were replacing Fukunaga with the guy who did Mama, maybe because it sounds like Fukunaga, I don't know.
I couldn't get through the film Mama. I thought it sucked.
Mama sucked, and to think that this guy is the guy to pin your massive franchise on is crazy to me.
Well, now Stephen King has given it a thumbs up.
All right.
But look, Stephen King is what? 70? He's got to be 70, right?
Yeah, he's 70.
70, early 70s.
He's still great on Twitter, I'll tell you that.
He's great. He's still great.
Yeah.
He doesn't have quite the angst he had during his coke phase.
Right.
He's not running around screaming, that Stanley Kubrick fucked my book up. And,
right.
he's not that guy anymore.
Right.
He gives a lot of thumbs up to things that are done, that are adapted from his work. So I'm not saying I doubt the man, but I also don't think he's as hard a critic as he was, which is fine. But he did give it a thumbs up. He said fans have nothing to worry about. I don't like that they cast, again, the young kid as Pennywise. I don't like that, so far what I have seen in the trailer and in the still pictures, that Pennywise always just looks sinister. Now, that might be different in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So I hope that that's the case. I don't like that literally a kid from Stranger Things is in it.
Right. Well, that was a given.
And we reached out to fans to hear what you guys thought, and a bunch of you DM'd me.
Well, let me ask you first. Maybe you know, because I don't. I still have the script on my laptop, but I was wondering if they're still. Apparently now the plan is if it is a hit, then they're going to make the second one, but only if it's a hit. So they're going to tell half a story? Are they only telling the kid's side and not telling the adult side? What's happening?
Well, don't forget. Well, I think that's an easy thing to do, because don't forget that the kids do think they defeat it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm assuming that the first movie will be the kids and the second movie will be the adults.
I like that. That's not how it was done in the miniseries, but okay.
I don't have a problem with that at all. That's fine with me. I think that's a good type of storytelling for.
And I guess they haven't cast the adults, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't heard peep.
Yeah.
About one adult being cast. So I'm assuming they're not even in the movie. The main problem I had with the trailer, it looks fine. It doesn't look bad. The main problem I had was that there's too many jump scares. It's not a jump scare kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a creepy.
They're also selling a movie. I mean, that doesn't mean that's the movie.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. But it is not, and neither was the original adaptation. It's not a jump scare kind of thing. It's not The Conjuring. It's a very different, very unsettling thing. It's a lot to do with shame and the dirty secrets people have and all these things. And it's not about a clown jumping out and startling you.
Is it rated R at least? I hope.
I think it is. Brian Jepson writes, the kids look about perfect. I do agree that the kids do look pretty much how they're described in the book.
Yeah.
The casting looks solid. Don't like the moving towards you fast and shaky shot of Pennywise. Yeah, that to me felt very, again, like Conjuring-esque.
My thinking, and here's why I'm an idiot. I'm thinking, okay, they know how much everyone loves it and has loved it for years, either the book or the movie. Surely they wouldn't rush this into production and fuck it up. However, you look at Poltergeist. That, to me, as I was driving to Poltergeist a year, 2 years ago, whatever, Poltergeist is one of my favorite movies, horror or otherwise, ever made. And I'm driving there, and I just felt in my stomach like, no, it's not going to be right. And that had Rockwell, and I was like, I'm going to go in. I feel good. Sam Raimi's involved. I mean, that movie was like 89 minutes or something.
It was terrible.
It just seemed tossed off and pathetic. And there's an element of it that I feel very prepared for it to be that same feeling. But I'd like to think that it's not.
Look, it's the curse of a book adaptation. I think people that aren't that familiar with the book will probably get a pretty satisfying, scary film, and I think the people that are familiar with the book will say this. Somebody said on Twitter, it might be in these DMs here, I can't remember, but somebody wrote to me, it looks more like a remake of the TV movie.
I agree.
Versus an adaptation of the book, and that's what I thought too. Clive Baxter says, Not a fan of Mama or any horror movie with noticeable CGI, but this looks promising. Okay.
Promising, sure.
I'll give it that. Paul Roseberry writes, the It trailer looks sick, definitely brings out the chills, or brings on the chills, but seems to intentionally keep a clear look at Pennywise hidden. I agree, given that the reveal better be his scariest look yet, otherwise bullshit all the way.
Yeah, I mean, every shot of him, he's like got, his face is obscured. Every still online, his face is obscured. But, I just read in the trivia section here on IMDb that Curry was like, I'd like to play this part, but I played that devil in Legend.
He's awesome in that.
He is awesome in that. But he's like, the fucking makeup in that movie, it ruined my life. I would never want to do that again. He's like, would you just trust me? Slap a little clown makeup on me and let me be scary on my own. Hopefully that's the kind of thing they're doing here. I don't know.
The MCT2 Esquire strikes me as odd that Pennywise didn't talk in the trailer. Room for an interesting choice from whomever the actor is playing him. I disagree. I'm not surprised he didn't talk. They're clearly waiting. They're clearly trying to parcel out. And I am excited to see what he does sound like, because I mean, to me, that's when the character is going to come to life or not.
I'll tell you how he's going to sound like every other demonic clown. Like, we all float. It's going to be the same shit.
All right. Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Like how every Joker sounds the same, etc.
Carla O writes, Pennywise looks scary as fuck. Looking forward to it. Did the trailer change your expectations for this movie? It did. It did. I'm not as excited as I was because, for the reasons I've already said, I don't need to reiterate. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I kind of responded to were the shots of the town at the beginning, because I felt like that was at least showing a nice sense of place. Like at least they're taking a little time. They have the little movie theater and that kind of stuff. I was like, all right. They're not setting it in New York or what they always do with these reboots.
And they're not setting it in modern day, which I liked.
Yeah, I mean, when the kid hits his head on the thing, I was like, all right. But what worried me about that is that, so Georgie's running down the street and then he hits his head and slips and falls. I was like, this is a shot-for-shot remake of the opening of the miniseries, and they were probably like, oh, let's just have him hit his head, make it a little different,
right?
Because that's what it is. I mean, it's every shot is the same, and then when he hit his head, I almost jumped because I was like, oh, that was something that was slightly different.
Right. Yeah, that's what Cassie says here. Laughed out loud when the kid hit his head on the sign. Overall, looks promising. Definitely not as scary as the original, but still creepy. I really hope it's not all jump scares, which we also said. The kid at the end of the trailer was creepy as fuck, though.
Yeah, you'll float too.
I don't agree with that. That to me felt like a 6-year-old kid going, "You'll float too." I was like,
yeah.
I'm scared of this fucking kid. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I've seen way from. I mean, you look at the girl in the Ouija Origin of Evil movie. She's fucking creepy, man.
Yeah.
I've seen way creepier kids.
Yeah,
and way more convincingly frightening kids. I didn't buy that kid in that scene. And that's it. Those are your thoughts on it. And Pat, that brings us to the end of the episode. Give out whatever info you want to give right now.
Folks, I'm still just doing my thing. I don't really have any plugs for you. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at the Patrick Walsh. That's all I got. I urge you to check out the miniseries because I think it is a very, just a nice version of it in a weird way. Like, it's just kind of like they put the care into it. They took their time with it, and that's my only concern. Who am I to say that you watch 3 minutes of a movie? What do you know? But the concern is very real. I'd be happy with a movie as effective as the original. I'll say that.
And the original left out all the stuff we're talking about, like the kids having sex and the blowjobs and all that.
Yeah.
And, the biggest thing that the original left out was the gay bashing and stuff, because the appearance of it is directly correlates with these violent events that are happening in the town.
Yeah.
So I hope that is a theme. It sounded like that's what the original director wanted to focus more on. He wanted to focus on what the background of this worries me, actually. Sorry, and I said we were done. But the original director said, I wanted to give these characters stories. There had to be who were they? What were their experiences before this clown appears? So we can justify why they're scared of this thing and why this is happening. And he said, and of course the studio just said, we don't give a shit about that.
Yep.
Slap some generic characters up there and let's make it a scary movie. So that concerns me because the book itself is very, very, very much about your background and what you're dealing with in your life personally. And
this guy, I mean, he has a history of kind of walking off a lot of things. He walked off the second season. He walked off a lot of things. But his complaints about it all sounded like, how do you not know that that's what horror fans and Stephen King fans want?
Right. Is
for somebody to really dig in. And because if you're not going to do that and you're just going to churn out the same shit, we've seen it.
Right.
That's why I'm concerned. I feel like this is probably not going to be our dream version of it, but if it's as effective as the original, great.
Fair enough. I'm at Joe DeRosa Comedy on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, please go give me some nice reviews to help me bring that the average rating of my albums up because of the trolls. And this comes out next week. Oh, when this drops, I am in Australia right now for the Melbourne Comedy Festival. So if you're around, come say hello. Come see a show.
Good day, mate.
That was a HeadGum podcast.